Hey, Gavin.
Hey, Louie.
You know what I've loved listening back to our old episodes for this episode? Our first spooky episode ever. You said Happy Halloween, and I responded Happy Halloween. Oh my God. And I said, wow, we are geniuses. We are comedy icons. We are so gay.
How did we end up on a queer podcast collective?
How did it happen?
Group then? How did it?
The stars aligned, the comet passed right by Earth, and it was gay, and it was a gay comet.
This is just for our Patreon people that watch, but we're wearing competing companies' comic book shirts right now, so
are. Let's fight.
Let's fight.
Hey everyone, this is the Mixed Reviews.
We are a film podcast where we take a film subject such as an actor, director, or a mini genre. We take a full month. We do as much research as we can, watch as much as we can, and we tell you all about it. Plus, what we like and what we don't like.
The reviews are mixed. It's crazy also when I was listening to our old episodes when we did so much more work. When we were doing this 2 times a month, watching just an aggressive amount of movies.
Yes.
In our advanced age, Gavin, we deserve, to luxuriate and marinate in these movies a little bit longer, okay?
Yeah, I think it's nice to be able to have a small breather, to be able to,
Yes.
not be constantly hyperventilating into a paper bag, though I guess I shouldn't make this motion.
Gavin,
whatever, we're on video. Oh my God.
I mean, back in the day you could have done it, but not anymore.
Not anymore.
The girls were watching.
The fact that I'm using 2 hands... that's more upsetting.
Yeah. It's so upsetting.
I do want to give a quick plug, by the way, that we are part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you want to find more episodes across the gay media, you can find them at glitterjaw.com.
Yeah, they have a lot of gay shit over there.
Oh my God.
We are but one planet in their solar system of homosexuality.
Exactly.
Before we get into this episode, this very special episode, frankly, we haven't ever done something like this before. But before we get into all of that, we have a little bit of old business, just to kind of close the chapter on our last episode, which was all about Miss Winona Ryder, which honestly kind of like that was our first spooky episode of the season, because her, filmography has some, spooky things in there as well.
A lot of ghouls and girls.
So we asked you guys to go online and vote for your favorite Winona Ryder movie, and here are the results. A lot of love across the oeuvre of Winona.
Oh, the wide spectrum of Winona. The responses, like I was going through just liking all the responses because I was just like, oh my God, yeah. Sure.
Yes. So in last place was Girl Interrupted with 12%. Age of Innocence, which was your pick, came in third place with 14%. Beetlejuice, of course, coming out strong with 34%. And I can't even remember the last time I've won one of these, but hallelujah. My pick, Heathers, came out on top with 40%. We had a couple of folks who also left their other favorites, Little Women, Reality Bites, Black Swan. All good options. All good picks.
I did enjoy somebody say Alien Resurrection and then LOL.
Yeah. They said, girl, she tried it. And she really did it. And also, I mean, me and Gavin, I love that we even though we picked different movies at the end of that episode, we were just like, God, I love mermaids.
Yeah. Mermaids.
I love mermaids.
Underrepresented by the don't see what your vote crowd. So watch Mermaids. And honestly, if you've got a spare 2.5 hours, I say Age of Innocence if you haven't seen it. I'm just saying IJS.
I mean, also you got a lot of people on there. Michelle Pfeiffer, who's an icon, past episode subject.
Daniel Day-Lewis, who maybe is out of retirement because his son is making a movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dad, be my movie dad.
Dad, support me.
Do you think his son's name is Daniel Knight-Lewis?
Get out. You're done.
I'm just saying.
Louis, to your room.
Unluckily for you, I am in my room.
Luis Francis Rendon. I don't know what your middle name is.
Luis Francis Ford Coppola Rendon. That is my name. Thank you, Winona Ryder. We are glad that you are back on our big screens. Hopefully we see more of you soon. But that is done. now we're doing two things today on this here episode.
Yeah. This is a very different vibe because listen, there's a lot of life changes going on. There's a lot of stuff happening this month.
Yeah.
So, but we are dedicated, and by we, I mean I, to keeping the spooky season going. And so we had to make sure that you would get a Halloween. If you don't celebrate Halloween, you can come celebrate. It's very spooky and fun. Episode out for you. So, So this is a kind of a mishmash episode. We're going to be doing one thing first. We're going to be doing another thing second. Louis, why don't you tell the ladies and gents and everything else what we're doing?
Right. So Gavin was working very hard at the New York Film Festival, which cut into our movie watching time, and then is going on a lovely deserved vacation, next week. And so we were like, what can we do? Number one, we were out there on those streets at the New York Film Festival watching movies. And if you are a Patreon girly, you get to hear, our hot takes, reviews from all the films that we watched. But we wanted to do a little wrap up here. And then once we're done with all that, we're going to have a little mixed reviews Halloween party where we are going to dive into our 7-ish Halloween episodes and just talk shop on, some of our favorites, things that we recommend, underseen things, some classics, and like updates. What has happened? Can you believe they made Hocus Pocus 2? What the fuck?
I still cannot believe they made Hocus Pocus 2.
And I fucking bet you they're going to try and make a third one, bitch.
They supposedly are. And literally Miss Bette Midler was recently on record saying, tick fucking talk.
Yeah.
I'm not getting younger.
I bet. But
you bet.
Yeah, I hate you so much, Kevin. Wow. Okay, we're gonna start though with our New York Film Festival wrap up review. It was the 62nd, is that right?
Yes, it was the 62nd annual New York Film Festival. This was my third year as their lead video editor, doing all the Q&As, doing the mid-festival trailer, the wrap-up trailer. That's not me tooting my own horn. It's a really cool job, and I'm very honored to be able to be part of that, to be part of that history. And so, yeah, I love everybody there. They're all very nice, and yeah, it's a crazy... this is my first day off in 17 days. Mm-hmm. I was just there editing, strapped to a computer, but I did get to see some movies in between, which is very nice.
Yeah, but and we also saw some fellow podcasters and guests of this show.
Absolutely. Yeah, and out now on our Patreon, by the way, all 12 of our episodes. There's still 2 movies I might do. I don't want to, strap myself to that, but I still have
promise what you can't keep, Gavin.
Exactly. But we do have 12 episodes out on our Patreon right now. They range anywhere from 5 minutes to a full half an hour. One of them is for Steve McQueen's movie Blitz. And we did have Connor O'Donnell and Dan Mecca of the B-Side podcast, which we've both been on, I believe.
Yes.
You've been, I was going to say, you did, why is my brain blanking? Podcast brain.
I don't know. Wait, have I been on the B-Sides? I can't remember now.
They better fucking put you on there.
Oh my God.
Did they do a Jennifer Lopez episode?
I don't know. We've done so many shows.
I know.
Can't remember.
That was for me. That was for me only.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that this, going to the festival, being able to talk with each other, being able to put out this content, we put out over 143 minutes worth of content. So that's basically a full other episode and a half of mixed reviews content, which I think is pretty good for a film festival and movie reviews. And a lot of these movies aren't coming out until later this year or next year. So I highly recommend we try to stay very spoiler free. We do talk about some plot points, but that's called movie reviewing. But I do recommend going to our Patreon and finding out which films we really loved and which, we didn't love so much.
Yeah, I think was there something that you took away from this? Because there's something like an overarching kind of vibe that I got from I saw 7 movies. I saw 7 movies, and there was kind of this running theme that I kept kind of running up against, even the movies I didn't like. What did you top line take away from the movies that you were able to watch?
It's interesting. certainly there were a lot of movies specifically about tolerance. I think that was an interesting theme that ran through a lot of people dealing with whether it's their own issues or issues external in the world, a lot having to deal with racism, a lot having to deal with the ability to just get along in this world while being able to hold true to your own beliefs and own culture. And I think that's sort of a fascinating undercurrent to a lot of the movies I saw. At the same time, a lot of these films were about mortality, especially the ones that, like, I saw a lot of films by like the older masters, I want to say. You know, I saw Pedro Almodovar's new movie. I saw David Cronenberg's new movie. I saw...
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada. Yeah, Paul Schrader. And these were films that were men dealing with death and like dealing with how people are going to remember them and like what's the positives of aging and dying and what are the negatives of aging and dying and what's funny about aging and dying and what's absolutely terrible and mortifying. One of the things I talked about this with you immediately after we recorded our Oh Canada episode, which once again, go to our Patreon to find out more about that movie. But there's a scene in the movie where Richard Gere has to have his colostomy bag changed, and it's a scene that lasts for maybe 5 minutes in a 90-minute movie. So that's prime real estate where stuff could be. But I think the idea is like, hey, we all fucking get old. Like, this happens to people and it's a natural thing. And like, It's not dignified, but it is something the human body does. And
it's like, I mean, this is Richard Gere, who for a large portion of his career was known as like the boy toy hot stud guy.
I think he was named sexiest man alive at least twice, possibly 3 times. So
yeah, and here he is literally like having a nurse being like, let me know when I can come wipe you. You know, he gives a stunning performance in a movie that is, I would not say entertaining, but you know, it's some of his best work.
Absolutely. I 100% will back you up on that because I'm not always impressed with Richard Gere. I think Richard Gere is very pretty.
Yes.
And still is. But like, I don't know if I always love everything that he does. And this, I was really impressed with this performance. And also, like we said in our episode, Jacob Elordi plays a younger version of him. And I feel like I'm very hard on younger actors. Like, I still don't understand Timothée Chalamet. I don't get why everybody loves him so much. I was like, Jacob Elordi has it. This is the second New York Film Festival where I've seen a Jacob Elordi movie where I'm like, oh, he's good. Like,
and also great casting. Like, young Richard Gere. Yeah, Jacob Elordi. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though he's like 9 foot tall,
right,
and kind of looks like Frankenstein's monster. I keep like literally at the red carpet last year, I was like, this man looks like Frankenstein's monster Jr. But
it's the flathead.
It's the flathead. It's the constant going, fire bad. Yeah, like it just it's like Jacob, it gives it away.
Yeah. I thought just a lot of big swings, a lot of like pushing like the limits of like what film is and what filmmaking can do. We both watched Lázaro at Night. We both didn't like it, but I was like, this is really testing like the absolute like outer edges of like the movie going experience, which at least is interesting, like certainly more interesting than the actual film, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really beautiful shots in it. Unfortunately, not a lot happens in those shots, but they're gorgeous to look at, you know?
I saw Pavements, which is a documentary that I think
sort of.
I think what I've decided is that it's a documentary about a time when like these artists are being celebrated for their art that they thought would never be celebrated. And the way that they're being celebrated is through
I like that
Oscar Beatty movie and a museum and a musical. And this documentary kind of wraps them all together. So you're like, it feels like you're at a museum and watching another movie inside of a movie and also watching a musical. But really it's all just about these 5 artists that make up this band, Pavement, kind of being able to celebrate their life's work and that they thought would never happen.
It's so funny. The editing the Q&A for that was really good because, first of all, Alex Ross Perry, who directed the film, is so dry but very quick, like snap wit. And he was talking about the idea, like he watched, you know, like the Tina Turner documentary, and I can't remember what the other documentary was. He's like, he just thought it was really funny that these both these documentaries ended with these like very famous musicians getting a Broadway musical.
Yeah.
And so that was the germ of that idea in it. But when they went to Pavement and they told them these ideas, they went out and shot the Oscar Beatty movie first and showed it to Pavement, and they were like, we don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, they're like, never mind.
Yeah, and they're like, no, trust us, like let us do this other thing. And thankfully, like, they loved the museum, they loved the musical, and like literally they never thought that would be something in the cards for them. And so I think, yeah, it's a really, I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see it, but I did get to watch them talk about it a lot, and I really want to see it. And that's really funny because I'm happy that Alex Ross Perry's voice is out there in the world of filmmaking, but I've never been a huge fan of his movies, I will say. I did see somebody retweet the video of his Q&A and call him Kermit Cobain. Which, not
wrong
at all. But yeah, very funny.
So both of those films were like really like boundary pushing. We both saw Emilia Perez. Again, I think just pushing the like it's a full on, full throated musical by a Frenchman, but it's all set in Mexico. It's largely in Spanish. There's a big queer trans theme in it. Main character is trans. Just, you know, even Blitz, which I thought was like pretty snoozy, had like these like artsy flourishes that were like, okay, he's trying to like make this stylish in his own Steve McQueen way. So like,
and like, once again, it is Steve McQueen working at his most like awards level in a way that I don't think he's tried before. Even like 12 Years a Slave was not awards bait, but it like is clearly something that awards goers want to vote for. It's funny, when we talked about Blitz, one thing that I left out that I really did want to discuss, I think what was making me, because I agree, I didn't love it. I don't want to make it sound like I loved it, but I think what was making me so emotional during it was there's like a reason Steve McQueen is making a movie about a city being bombed right now. Like there's like he's making clear parallels, and I was watching his Q&As and I was cutting them, and he was like, I think the thing a filmmaker can do the most is to be useful. And like, it makes me really, and it makes me really happy to be useful. And I don't know. So I think I was like thinking about like what's happening now in the world, and like how it must be awful for families to be, this is pretty heavy subject matter for our Halloween episode, but like for families to be separated by bombings and people being killed and horrible deaths, and like deaths on a scale that the human brain can't even comprehend. So we just kind of like, sure, whatever, like it's a number. And so I think that part of it affected me or had me like really thinking about, I don't know. I was really bummed after it. And not just because I didn't think it was great, but because I was like, I think it triggered in me the emotions that he wanted it to trigger.
I mean, speaking of like another movie that I thought was really groundbreaking and like a miracle that it exists is No Other Land, which is a documentary that is literally about, these people in Palestine who are being forced out of their homes and killed and brutalized. And I thought a lot about like the power of filmmaking, the power of art, and the limitations, frankly. I was like, there's a great scene in where our main protagonist / filmmaker is like, he has an Israeli counterpartner who is also helping with the film, but who is like in despair, being like, I wrote a story and like nothing happened.
Right. Like it got like 1,000 views and that was it.
And the Palestinian guy's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Right. This has been happening for decades. You think you're going to solve it with one article? Like,
right. And that's, even though as powerful as I think this movie is, and I hope someone distributes this fucking movie.
Yes. It so still good. Does not have distribution. How does it not have distribution? And like shamefully, like HBO was fucking sponsoring all of the documentaries. Pick it up. Pick it up. Like,
I literally thought like, it's very strange. Like, to your point about when you feeling that feeling watching Blitz, amplified by a million watching No Other Land.
Yes.
Because I don't think I've seen a more striking shot of like a Palestinian man crying on the ground, exhausted of fighting his entire life, while a little tractor just fucking steamrolls a school.
His village.
Yeah. It's deeply affecting.
That movie is hands down one of my favorites of the year. Like I don't know how any other movie could supersede that. That's very much in my top 10. It's so good. Absolutely one of the best movies I saw in the entire film festival.
Yeah.
And just so people don't like, I know like it's very tough nowadays to convince anybody of anything. I feel like, you know, it's really hard to change anyone's minds, but like this documentary it wasn't new. Like it wasn't like they started shooting it 6 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago. Like this, and that literally they stopped shooting in October of 2023 because of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, like and that's why I was like, it's a miracle that this footage exists.
Yes, and that they got it out. Yes,
that it looks as good as it looks.
Yeah,
like the directors of this movie had to leave the film festival because his father was like taken again. Like it's sometimes we have like these artifacts of like things that are happening. It's like fucking Anne Frank's diary.
Yeah.
Like it literally is. It's a piece of work that is about what is happening right now. And it's just
if you start, I'm gonna start. So stop it. Stop.
No. Like I think like it's very good. But again, pushing the limits of what like filmmaking is. And you know, I just think that was kind of like, for better and for worse, there were movies that I saw that I really didn't like at the film festival that I was bummed out about. But then there were like these great surprises. I thought No Other Land was one of them. I thought Amelia Perez was one of them. Maria fucking rocked my world.
I know, I'm so jealous. I'm very jealous. And then just listening to your, you know, it's very brief, but I think it's worthwhile listening to it, honestly, because I put it out. That's on the Patreon as well. It's so like, you touched me. You touched me.
I was shell shocked, and so that episode on the Patreon is very short because I just couldn't find the words. Like the movie ended, and we were all just like kind of crying. But I couldn't find the words of like, it's sad. Obviously, this woman died young because she was, you know, addicted to pills. But like the power of music, and she's just, I mean, and I had no fucking idea about anything about Maria Callas. And I'm kind of like lukewarm on Pablo Larraín, frankly. Like, you know, Spencer really was on my bag. I just think like the combination of Angelina Jolie, best she's ever been, and his dreamy, sad, the power of opera in itself, just like the music is so powerful. It's
that makes me so happy because I love Jackie so much, and I think like that I was really nervous after Spencer, and when he was like, "Oh, it's kind of a triptych with like this being the third and final." That makes me happy because, yeah, like you said, I'm not very hot on Spencer, and I've liked some of his other films, and he did a movie last year that I was kind of like, it's fun, but like, so this is good news to me, and I know that comes out like next month on Netflix. So
yeah, it's on Netflix. It's also weird, like Maria is in the Jackie universe. Like she was,
well, yeah, because she was married, or she was with Aristotle. She was having an affair with Aristotle Onassis, and he married Jackie Onassis to like get away from her, kind of like. Yeah, he like made her have an abortion.
Yeah. Yes.
See, I know all this. I have not seen the movie, but
I had no idea. I was like, I don't know. JFK's in this movie as well. He makes like a little brief number, and she says, "How's Jackie?" And I was like,
Is there a Natalie Portman cameo? Please tell me.
Imagine the gag. No, there's no Natalie Portman. But overall, you know, there were some movies I saw in like tiny little theaters and others in like a huge theater. Overall, super fun. I will be frank, glad I don't have to go to fucking Lincoln Center every day.
Yeah, I know.
Anymore.
It is it's not easy to get to from where either of us live.
No.
So yeah, I will say I had to go there every day. Yeah. I understand.
Absolutely not. Was there any highlight that you want to do a quick shout out for, Gavin?
Oh God. I mean, I loved The Shrouds. I think The Shrouds is going to be one of those movies that like really pisses people off, or really like, are they really into it? And I think it's like David Cronenberg, like dealing with grief, dealing with aging, and then also having a little fun and being like, isn't this all very silly? Isn't being alive silly?
Yeah. Being alive.
Yeah, being alive. I got to see Mike Leigh's new movie, Hard Truths, which I found both hysterical and incredibly touching. And that's a movie I left kind of misty-eyed and like having teared up a lot. And that's a movie a lot about internal pain and depression. I also think it's like weirdly COVID art, even though COVID is barely mentioned in it. Like, but it feels like it comes from that place of like trying to repair everything that's happened after, and especially, you know, mentally. And beautiful Marianne Jean Baptiste. It's her first collaboration with him since Secrets and Lies, which is one of his best movies. And yeah, that's also going to be in my top of the year. Like, I can't imagine it falling out of. But yeah, was there? You already mentioned all the things that touched you. Oh, I do also want to give like a real quick shout out to a very small movie. And I did review it on the Patreon, and I would recommend going. I kept it real short, but it's a movie called Jimmy. It's about James Baldwin's time in France from 1947 and like 1950, and it's like almost wordless, which is really amazing because one of the things we know about James Baldwin is what an amazing writer, what an amazing orator he was.
He was a yapper.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of like beautiful jazzy score and like him just experiencing things like having a male lover or like just being in the French countryside, which is not to like absolve France of its own racism, but not experiencing the American racism that he was used to. And but there's also like some other thing. I highly recommend you going to listen to this. And also it's like a 67-minute movie. So it's certainly
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Stark black and white, shot 16 millimeter, blown up to 35. So like heavy grain, really, really beautiful. And the guy that plays James Baldwin just evokes young James Baldwin, like literal. And especially for a movie in which you're not having him speak, like that's kind of the most important. Like, it's almost eerie, I would say.
Wow. Oh, I love that. Well, this was the first time that I've gone to the New York Film Festival. I know this is your third time working it. This is the first, like, the Mixed Reviews presents.
Yes, yeah. Festival, so. I'm so happy we're able to do it. I really hope we can do it again next year because this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is all thanks to our patrons. Who basically sponsored this for us. So thank you to all of our patrons. We
really do appreciate it. We've had a small uptick of people joining, some as free members, and like I said in the last episode, it's all $5 across the board now.
Yep.
I no longer felt comfortable charging $10 per month. So thank you all for participating in that and just really supporting us and helping us out. It keeps the show going. We're still going to be doing more Gavin and Louie Go to the Movies outside of this, but it was really cool. We gave 12 extra episodes of Gavin and Louie Go to the Movies, which is very cool. To make up for maybe some of the ones we missed. Who knows?
Who knows? But okay, Gavin, why don't we get into our Mixed Reviews Halloween party?
I love that we're both dancing and there's no music. We're wearing headphones. It's a silent disco.
I have music in my heart, so that's all
We know you're gay, okay?
I have music in my heart and beer in my hand. What else do I need?
I have a lovely mixed drink. I believe this is a rum and Pepsi because it's what I had at the time.
Kevin, now that was not the only drink. You had other... How many drinks did you prepare for this?
I always bring multiple drinks. We do long records, okay? So I had this nice little of like I can't think of the name of it anymore, but it's like a honey liqueur.
Yeah. And in my head I was like, it looks like a little plum wine or something.
Yes, and that's all gone. And then I have a giant jar of water to loosen up those vocal cords.
Loosen up those buttons, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Gavin,
keep fronting.
And I do. Back when we started this podcast,
I made you promise. I made you pinky swear.
Yeah. Every October, we would do at least one, but most of the times two spooky, ooky Halloween episodes. Sometimes we would pick somebody who was kind of like associated with the genre. We did Vincent Price. But then
John Carpenter was,
Stephen King.
Yep.
The second one, we would pick like a genre, and we would most of the times we're picking, you know, these monsters, these ghouls, these villains. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through our 7 genre Halloween episodes, and we're just gonna like give you guys some like Halloween party recommendations, things you guys should be watching, things that we love so much. Not
Right.
necessarily our 5-star reviews.
Absolutely.
They might be, but just
Bitch, they
things,
might be.
which they might, but also just like fun Halloween movies that maybe are under the radar. If you're kind of tired watching Hocus Pocus again, or you
Right.
just want something new on the rotation, it's a I mean, honey, the season's just changing. What you want to do is cuddle up, put on a spooky movie, and just, feel feel the spirits around.
Yeah. Speaking of the seasons changing, by the way, sidebar, it's going to be something like 40 something degrees. And for our overseas listener, for everybody that's out of the US, I guess that's like negative 150 degrees Celsius or whatever tonight.
I just love that you like guessed. It's like something like Celsius, whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't do metric.
I'm gay.
We should. Okay. But we don't. So, and so like, it's crisp out. It's my time. It's my time.
You've never been more powerful.
Exactly.
That's why you have to leave the country.
I'm literally going to where they invented Halloween.
Yes.
What is it? Samhain or the Samhain, the like that's what we call it in the US, but it's like Samhain. Yes.
I can't say it. But okay, yeah. Why don't we start this? We're gonna go in order from like our first spooky episode, up to our latest one. So we kicked it off with witches.
Do you remember? Because I do.
Witches?
Do you remember when we came up with the idea of witches? And by we, I mean you, actually.
I came up with witches?
Yeah. We were at FlameCon, which is the annual queer Comic Con that happens in New York City.
Yes. It used to be in Brooklyn.
Yes, and I was much happier when it was, I'll be honest. And they had an opening night party with drag queens because fucking queer.
Yes.
And there was a queen who got up there and did a Scarlet Witch number.
Yes.
To I Think I Put a Spell on You mixed with some other like spooky nonsense. And you turned to me and you were like, witches. You were like, we need to do witches on film.
That was such a fun FlameCon. Like,
yeah.
Fuck. But yeah, Witches on Film, and I do remember that very well. I don't think that restaurant where that party was exists anymore.
No,
I also remember Dax exclamation point was there doing Catwoman. But yeah, Witches on Film. So here's the thing. Famously, Gavin is the spooky girl amongst the two of us. But what I have learned by doing this podcast, this project, is that I find a lot of value in these movies when they are done in smart ways that are asking the question. Like these movies and these genres, these monsters really reflect humanity. The best ones do it just like so well, and like they ask the questions about who we are, what our society is, and what our culture is. And so I kind of wrote down next to these like the questions that I kind of like we brought up in our episodes, and witches is literally just like name a woman. What about women?
Exactly.
Like how we treat women, the idea of like if women could do whatever they want without the constraints, the shackles of society, like what would they be able to do? And I just loved diving into this this subject matter because witches, I mean, perhaps one of our most dense subjects. There's so many witches on film.
Oh, absolutely. And it literally runs the gamut from like witch trial nonsense from The Witch to I mean even the Crucible, which like doesn't actually have any witches in it, but like witch trial stuff, all the way to things like Teen Witch, which I have to put in here because it's like my friend Kim's favorite movie.
Yes.
I've seen it so many times.
Take that!
With its weird musical numbers and it's Zelda Rubinstein being like, you had it in you all along. So I want to know how you're going to go and top that. But so yeah, like witches can be much like this, I think you said it in our vampire episode, which we'll get to in a moment, but like there's a film for everybody. There truly is.
100%. And I think that is the perfect segue into. So my 5-star review for Witches on Film was Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Which I don't think there's any like debate over like how important this film has become to the Halloween season. It is just kind of a mainstay staple. So much we basically manifested the sequel to come out. Was it
we did. I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna say I was listening to the episode back, and the last thing we had heard was that there was going to be a remake without the original cast, and we were like, fuck no, like why?
Yeah.
Who wants that? And then, you know, things progressed, and in 2022 we got Hocus Pocus 2.
Right. And I don't know if like it's hitting all the like same notes that the original does.
It's certainly not.
I do like Hannah Waddingham. Like,
yeah,
I like her a lot. I don't know if like the story is strong enough to support the thing, but
what's really funny is in the original episode you brought up how, you know, one of the important things in the original Hocus Pocus is this idea of family. And Max, Omri Katz' character, sacrifices himself in the end by drinking the potion for his sister. And you bring up how Winnie Sanderson is like, you fool. Like, why would you do that for your sister? Like, because she doesn't. And that's what their downfall is. I think it's so funny that Hocus Pocus 2 was like, actually, no, they're like a really strong sisterhood. They got each other's backs. They love each other so much. Right. And I was like, did we watch the same first movie?
Thou art lucky to have each other. A witch is nothing without her coven.
Where is thy coven?
Long gone, I'm afraid. The world is not too fond of witches. Can't imagine why.
Perhaps because thou eateth children?
How else does one stay young and ridiculously beautiful?
I think it's like an unfortunate casualty of like our modern times where everything has to be girl power and like, you know, I think perhaps Disney was like, oh, well, the thing that we've learned about is that like people love the sisters and they are sisters, like there's a whole thing. But it's like, that wasn't, it was always entertaining to see Winnie manipulate, you know, her sisters and it was their downfall, which, you know, now I think they're trying to, frankly, like, they're doing the Cruella of it all, you know, making them like, you know, anti-heroes. Sort of
yes, exactly.
And like, actually they're bad because something else bad happened. It's like, okay, well, whatever.
And once again, I also think it was really funny in our original episode. So you had seen Hocus Pocus on TV first.
Yes.
You had no idea that it was a theatrical release.
Correct.
And you're like, wow, best looking TV movie. And I think it's so funny because Hocus Pocus 2 was a Disney Channel original, and it looks a little like a TV movie.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, there's just something about the practicality of the first one. You know, it feels like, you know, those girlies were on brooms in front of a green screen.
Yes.
You know, the fans are blowing. So I chose Hocus Pocus back in the day. I'm not going to recommend that because that seems crazy. I actually think like I said, there is a movie for everybody here. And I'm going to start with something that is for everybody. And I got to say, like, Kiki's Delivery Service, which was my 5-star review for Miyazaki, but I actually think fits really well here because, you know, witches in the sense that, like, we know them, obviously very American, having Miyazaki's, like, lens through it is just, like, this soft, lovely, you know, it's mostly just about a coming of age tale of a young girl finding her own power, finding what makes her special. And it's just, I mean, my God, like, hello, it's beautiful. Of course it is. Just like a fucking vibe, you know? His movies are always kind of slow, but never boring. And I think our girl Kiki, Kirsten Dunst, as the voice actress for Kiki, is just so good. Such a simple story, but an iconic witch in the canon, and I think like enjoyable for everybody. So that's one that I'm choosing. I want to throw out.
Oh, Mom, I look really dumb.
It's not really important what color your dress is. What matters is the heart inside.
Well, I'm gonna be the very best witch that I can be, Mom. And I know having a good heart is important.
Just follow your heart and keep smiling.
Yeah.
My picks for Witches on Film was one of the rare ties that happened, but I went with polar opposite in directions. I went with Ken Russell's The Devils, which is a movie in which there's no actual witchcraft, but it's about a group of nuns sort of being driven crazy by a witch hunter who has, after this brother priest, played by Oliver Reed, has been accused of witchcraft. And then on the other side of the spectrum, I did Bell Book and Candle, which is this beautiful 1950s romantic comedy with Kim Novak and Jimmy Stewart, and like just a beautiful like Technicolor dream. Since we did that episode, I was able to actually see that movie on the big screen with my niece, who at the time of the episode, because I said it in the episode, was 7 years old. A couple years ago, I got to see it on the big screen, so she would have been 13 or 14. And it was such a lovely thing to be able to share with her, to be like, this is the thing that I like, movies that look like this is what I love. Like, this is, but we did go out with her mother for lunch afterwards. She was like, oh, how was the movie? And she goes, it certainly was old.
Wow. Oh my God. It certainly was old.
Which, you know, fucking read me, Emmeline.
Yeah, drag you right to hell.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of, you know, as you said, there's a movie for everyone. And I think that's the beauty of the dichotomy. I would recommend, if you're having a Halloween party, that neither of these, especially not The Devil, would perhaps be great. Like if it's something that like you're having people come over and watch, Bell Book and Candle, yes, but like maybe not the most backgroundy type noise. So I would actually maybe switch my suggestion to Dario Argento's original Suspiria.
Oh, I mean, talk about style, baby.
Exactly. So it's not, you know, 1977. It's not anything you super have to pay attention to, because, I mean, certainly it feels like Dario Argento is not paying attention. I mean, there's literally a narrator for one scene who's just like, and so she arrived at the school for girls. And it's like, where'd this narrator come from? But, it looks like a fairy tale. It has very fairy tale logic in it. It has a lot of women acting under their age. All the doorknobs are really high. And I believe I talked about this in the episode.
You did.
Because, how they were meant to be children, but they're all played by adults. Just beautiful neon colors, bright blues, bright reds, and so much fun. A little grisly and ghoulish at the end. And I think it's a good for like backgroundy sort of. I mean, obviously, if you're going to pay attention to it, do that. But if you're throwing a Halloween party, you can't go wrong.
That's a very good pick for a backgroundy thing.
Susie, do you know anything about witches?
I would also suggest, let's see, what fucking year is this? 1996 is The Craft. I mean, like...
Weirdly, I thought that's where you were going. Oh my God, are we in a coven?
Oh my God, stop.
We're in the Easy Bake Coven.
So God, heal my scars. Heal my scars. I think
I bind you, Louis. I bind you for doing harm against me and others and yourself. I bind you, Louis.
I think The Craft is a very good party background movie where you can just get into the hot topic of it all with the girls. It's similar to Kiki in that it is a teen angst thing, but like turned to a 12. I mean, like Kiki's Delivery Service came out in 1989.
Yes.
Holds up as like fairy tales are really good, actually, description. The Craft is like pure mid-90s hot topic, goth girlies who actually are witches. And what about it? Fucking up boys. Just an absolute vibe.
By the power of 3 times 3, as I will it, so shall it be.
What?
Liza Brown. Oh. They're usually green. Oh. You can do that with contacts. Yeah, but it's good. I mean, it suits you. Subtle, but good.
Was there any other witch movies that you want to throw out, Kevin?
Oh my God. I mean, there are so many. I mean, I love I Married a Witch, which is another like rom-com sort of, which is even earlier than Bell Book and Candle. Yeah, Rosemary's Baby is still holds up. Whatever, fuck.
If you
what's his face, but yeah.
Yes. If you want to really sit down and get real ooky spooky with like a more, if you have an aversion to older movies, which whatever, the Witch, the Vivitch, it's on Prime, and that shit will knock you backwards.
Still not my favorite. I'm still on that record.
If thou wants to live deliciously.
And once again, that line is amazing. Like, I'm not, I don't want to knock the,
Good writing. Good writing.
It's good writing.
The Craft you can stream on MGM Plus, which whatever that is. Kiki's is on Max, and The Witch is on Prime. So I wanted to pick things that people could easily access.
Oh, well, I should look up where Suspiria is then.
I'm sure Suspiria. Well, the Suspiria remake is on Prime for sure.
Yeah, don't do that in my opinion. But I know a lot of people love it. I know I'm in the minority on that one, but it's not a fun time. I don't know. It's on Amazon Prime or Zumo Play, whatever that is.
Perfect. So. Okay, well that's Witches. Clap. Our next episode we did was we kind of like took a left turn. We decided to tackle the Universal Monsters, the classic old Hollywood Universal Monsters family, which kind of encompasses a lot of the movies that we ended up talking about anyway, or a lot of the characters we talked about anyway. But there was some kooky, like, left of center things also. I mean, I thought what was fun about this episode was that, like, it really forced us to dive into those, like, golden age of, these movies when these characters were, like, laying the groundwork for why they are the icons they are today. I don't know if it's weird or not, but, like, I remember thinking like it was hard for us. It was hard for us to pick like 1-star reviews because it felt like, they are all iconic,
right?
For a reason. Also, there's so many sequels to these that were like obviously not great. But I remember I landed on like the
Black Cat.
My 1-star review. My 1-star review was the Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
And because I remember being like, he's not that scary. That's the Shape of Water, babe.
I was going to say, have you come around on Creature from Black Lagoon at all? Or
I don't think so. I mean, I like Shape of Water, I guess. But again, I think just from that like kind of sandbox of like what we can choose from, it was difficult, like because a lot of like at least the origin stories, a lot of our Universal Monsters are really fucking good,
Yeah.
But my 5-star review, and I am recommending this because I think not enough people know about it, is The Black Cat. It's from 1934. It's stars Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi's wife has like fallen under the sway of this mad doctor who is basically like has a Satanist cult in his basement and is like putting these women in stasis.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's like funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. They have such good chemistry together, and Bela Lugosi is a really good straight man to Boris Karloff's like over the top nonsense.
Well, the gag is that like Boris and Bela are like icons within the genre,
right?
Because Boris was Frankenstein, right?
Yes,
and Bela was Dracula. Like, and imagine being so fucking good at like these two iconic characters and then coming together to make another comedy, horror, mystery thing. And yeah, it's a cult. He's like trying to recruit people into his little coven of girlies.
And he's stolen Bella's wife and has her floating in a vat of water in a very like Mr. Freeze sort of way.
Aw, maybe that's why I like it.
And why is she like this? Is she not beautiful? I wanted to have her beauty always.
But yeah, I mean, I remember this episode really just like diving into the origins of all of these things. And I remember thinking like, God, that first Dracula movie, so fucking good, so moody. I mean, maybe I would recommend. So Black Cat, I think is funny, but if you want like a good vibe, like that original Dracula with Bela is just the music alone.
Yeah. Well, the music was added later. We talked about this in the episode, but the Philip Glass score, because the original is almost silent.
Yes.
Almost has no music. And then Philip Glass did a score for it, which is the version that most people watch now because the original is real quiet. So like
Van Helsing. Now that you have learned what you have learned, it would be well for you to return to your own country.
I prefer to remain and protect those whom you would destroy.
Yeah, I mean, this is from 1931. I mean, and I think we also talked a lot about how a lot of these movies were pre-code.
Yeah.
So able to like push the envelope and I mean, come on, it was 1931. Like they weren't like fucking like
right.
crazy,
and
but
even the ones that were like we talked about how Bride of Frankenstein comes after the Hays Code, but like still gets away with murder, like in terms of being just the gayest movie.
Yeah. I mean, the gayest movie. That's right. Bride of Frankenstein. But yeah, like it's 31 was like, it was the first sound film for like Stoker's novels, like to come to life. It's just a fucking mood and a vibe. I think all of these, like we talked a lot about the original Frankenstein.
Yeah,
I remember loving doing that episode. A lot of like heady thinking about like us meat sacks. But I'm going to recommend Dracula. Just because I also think the vampire, which we'll get to, is full of crazy things. Getting back to like an original, I think Dracula is just, there is something so classic and the horror of this, but also like the beauty. There's like this sensuality, and being able to go all the way back to like the beginning of that. And actually, because especially now, like, and especially during the aughts, my God, was it a fucking bro fest of blood and new metal. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry to our new metal fans.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but
can't please them all.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 1931's Dracula.
I'm going to stick with my original impulse, which is The Bride of Frankenstein. I mean, I am the biggest, the Frankenstein poster is right behind me. I love James Whale. I don't have too much to add because we've talked about Bride of Frankenstein ad nauseum. And you could just literally go back and listen. We had such a good time talking about that. And it is also in the Mixed Reviews Hall of Fame, which we created for our 100th episode. We'll probably be revisiting it when we get to our 200th episode. The doors will be flung open. We'll be adding new content to the Hall of Fame. But the Bride of Frankenstein is just beautiful and gay and would be great for a Halloween party. It would be so good. So
but again, like it's like there's a reason why these movies are iconic. It's because it's back, like it's textual, like what iconic means. The look, these movies, black and white be damned, are beautiful. Like they are stylish. They are these big like freak show soap operas full of emotion, and but they work both as this like kind of mood setters and like if you just like want to actually invest and sit down and watch, they're very special films.
Absolutely.
You make man like me? No. Woman. Friend for you. Woman. Friend. Yes. I want friend like me. I think you can be very useful.
Okay, what do we do next, Gavin?
So next, following the Universal monsters, we moved into our very next year. We moved on to vampires on film.
Right, and I think the question. I mean, there's a lot of questions with vampires, but I think like number one, like, what if we could live forever?
Yeah.
What if
there was also like talk of, especially like AIDS, like there, the bloodborne, the idea of blood transference. I think I said like,
I remember
like
now.
I said something like fluid transference.
Yes, fluid transfers.
Yeah, and you were like, ugh.
But also like a lot of religious kind of themes. A lot of the desire. The vampires is all about desire and wanting what you can't have, wanting the bad thing. Like, please penetrate me. I just want to be bitten. And I will say, like, there are a lot of movies that's not the vibe, and like, that's more like fucking, I don't know, mutant crazy blood things. But like, I think the best vampire stories are always the sensual, seductive, giving into your worst impulses, right? Like, it's literally like, but what if I was bad? That's the vibe for vampire movies.
And then also, like, just on the other side of that, like, fear of the other, fear of the outsider, fear of the foreign, that like specifically Dracula and whatnot, like this idea of this like swarthy gentleman coming in with his like sexual desires and whatnot, and it's like, he's gonna take our women,
But it's also like the idea, like, but there's something seductive about that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Because as a culture, as a society, we are like, no, you're supposed to be chaste, you're supposed to be pure, but like, there is something so like seductive of being like, what if I could be free? What if I could just like give in to my sexual desires? Not even sexual, like what any desires, the desires to want something, right? Like to want something, and like broadly, like to want to live forever, to want to just like, and also like what the downside of that. So vampire movies, I will say a lot of fucking movies. There's so many vampire movies. Clearly, I just talked about Dracula. There's spoofs, parodies, you name it. Like, there is a vampire thing. Since our episode, the only one that is like coming up to me, like that's come out that I didn't even watch, but I know it happened, was Renfield.
Which is awful. I
horrible.
hated.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a pretty good like recent run, I will say. I have not seen the Salem's Lot remake, which just hit HBO or Max, if you will. But that is out, and there's two other there's one good version of Salem's Lot, and then there's another TV version of Salem's Lot that exists. It's so funny that movie can never make it to theaters for some reason. There was Abigail from earlier this year, which was by the Radio Silence guys, which like fun, gory, like people exploding. They love their people exploding gags, and about a little girl vampire. And I thought the trailers for it looked awful, and then I watched it and was like, I'm having a great time.
Actually,
fucking bitch! I'll kill you, fucking fuck! I'll rip your fucking heads off!
Sammy? What the fuck's gonna happen to me? How do you feel? I feel like I got bit by a fucking vampire.
Yeah, there was The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is a takeoff of the one chapter of Dracula, where Dracula travels from Transylvania to London, and I didn't see it. I know it's on Hulu. I know some people who saw it and thought it was okay. Not every, but there's been a huge like slate, and I do want to give like a small shout out to Slay.
Yeah, that's right, Slay.
Slay, which is a Tubi original, I believe. Yay, Tubi. And it is 4 drag queens. It's basically From Dusk Till Dawn, and they kind of like say that in the movie. 4 drag queens trapped in a straight biker bar, surrounded by vampires. And 3 of them are RuPaul Drag Race alums. It's Heidi N Closet, Trinity Taylor, and Trinity the Tuck, sorry. I can't think of her name. Crystal Method, thank you. Good friend of Chels, our friend Chels, or at least knows her. And Yeah, and it's directed by Jem Gerard and our Gerard, maybe, because it's a hard A. I had fun. I watched it, was like, this is fun. It's fine. It's maybe a little long, but I think the thing that impressed me the most is that it looked like a movie. And I think it's because I'm so used to those poor girls having to do the Drag Race acting challenges where it's all green screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it looks like a film, and congrats on that. Like,
so congrats on that.
Crystal Method, maybe the weakest performance of the three from Heidi N Closet, like
an actress.
Yeah, get her an Emmy. Get her at least an Emmy.
At least. I was kind of like pondering through like our episode and looking up at the movies I watched. I remembered weirdly like Kronos.
Yeah.
And how much I liked that movie. That is a movie though that like you need to sit down and watch.
Yeah. That is not a party movie. Guillermo del Toro does not direct many party movies. No,
that you have to watch it. But like it is spooky. It is just kind of like all of like, even he somehow is able to like ground all these fairy tales in reality. And it's on Max, so it's like easy to watch. I do recommend Kronos. But I think I'm gonna stick with my 5-star review pick and like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Both times you have said Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's Bram.
Okay, well, I'm gay. First of all, I'm gay.
So you can't do ours.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. And funnily enough...
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. But also, funnily enough, this movie is also very gay.
It is.
Honey, you want to see camp on film? This Dracula, hello? Like, it's... We've talked about this movie quite a bit, actually. Because it stars Keanu Reeves with the worst British accent ever. Winona Ryder as, the wife, the girly in distress. Gary Oldman acting for the gods.
Yeah.
The gods.
And once again, I feel like we've had to bring this up every time we've talked about Gary Oldman. We know he's a bad person. But he's so good in this role.
But he says, put me in the makeup chair. Put me in the makeup chair and I will turn out a fucking performance. It's an opera. It's high camp. It is costumes. It is theater. It is set design. It is just, it's everything that the Dracula I mentioned previously is not. It is not subtle. It is over the top. It is spectacle. It is just, it's the fucking 90s,
Yeah.
It's the fucking Burger King, Taco Bell, McDonald's combination movie of all Draculas. So that is 100% like a party starter moment. So I recommend.
Permit me to introduce myself. I am Prince Vlad of Shanghai.
Prince Nevers.
I am your servant.
Wilhelmina Murray.
I am honored, Madam Mina.
This way.
I chose for my 5-star review What We Do in the Shadows, and I still stand by. I fucking love that movie.
Yes.
Since that episode aired, there's been 5 seasons of a TV show.
Yes.
I think it's even better than the movie. Like, is even like topping that. But I think once again, if you're going to be throwing a party, I think you're right on the money. So I'm going to follow suit and choose with you Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's truly I think it's the ultimate vampire film. Everything else has been biting at its heels since then. Even the like really trying different things and whatnot. But like Bram Stoker's Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola was just in his shit. And I even say in the episode, like, people talk about Godfather, talk about Apocalypse Now, like, as his masterpieces. And I think Bram Stoker's Dracula has to be said in the same sentence because it truly is. I've not seen, I know you have, Megalopolis, but like, I want Francis Ford Coppola to be remembered for good things. And so,
Megalopolis.
Yeah, so I've heard. But yeah, the Bram Stoker's Dracula, hard to beat.
Hard to beat. The episode we did after vampires is maybe one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, bitch. It is your favorite episode. You bring it up every chance you get.
Okay.
Mimi, I'm first. I could not believe it.
Listen, did I cry during zombies? No. I did cry during Viola Davis. Okay. Don't do all that ganja.
Don't do all that ganja.
It is certainly one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. It probably is my favorite of these episodes we've done. It's zombies. Zombies got me all the way up together. It collected me, and I was like, you know what? It was worth all the blood and guts. All this was worth. But for some reason, there is just, to me, a lot of very good zombie films.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of different genres.
And we talked about all the places it goes, and I'd completely forgotten about this, but I talked about how I think a zombie apocalypse is kind of a right-wing person's literal dream, literal let's close ourselves off from everybody. Let's it's very much fall in line with the authoritarian power. It's very much it's us versus them, and it's very gun heavy and whatnot, but I do think there's stories to tell within that are about people triumphing over that ideology and thought process.
You know what the gag is, Gavin? We had a pandemic.
Yeah.
And who are the people that complained the loudest?
Yeah.
The fucking Republicans.
Yeah.
The Republican conservative freaks who did not follow authority, who were not helpful to their neighbors.
Right.
Who were dismissing the warnings. I'm ready to die. And you know what? They fucking did. A lot of them did. A lot of them did, and a lot of us did. And I think zombies as a metaphor is just so powerful and so strong in a lot of different ways. We talked about, the other, of course. We talked about in zombies specifically, anti-government, the way people will, I think 28 days later and 28 weeks later are very good examples of I think I said about 28 days later, which I really love, is about how zombies are fucking scary. But what would be even scarier are the men with the guns who would be raping women and making people do horrible things because they have power. And that's just the fucking truth. The horrors of how authoritarian dictatorship governments, that is a true horror. And the way that tragedies and crises expose that is horrifying. And I think zombies is a very good entry point into that. I think it's a perfect example of how do we help each other as a people? And what are the consequences of us not helping each other, of being selfish, in fact? How do we respond in a crisis? And it's just really powerful. I think the mob mentality and how dangerous that is.
Yeah.
There's just so much to dive into in the zombieverse. But also, I think I said on our episode, zombies are our funniest monsters. And I think there are very funny zombie movies that are a lot of fun. My 5-star review is Night of the Comet, which is very funny and very silly. Very, pro-women, pro-sex.
Anti-authoritarian,
100%. And they fuck up those mall cops, okay?
Yeah. Also the government people that try and are oh, we think you're immune to it. We're gonna they're no, that's not how it works.
Actually, not really, bitch. That's on Pluto TV for free, so you should absolutely watch that.
Considering what the alternative is, I think we should try to get along. What do you say? Listen, this is no time for an attitude problem. Your little sister seems to be taking this a lot better than you.
That's because she doesn't know what's going on.
And you do, I suppose?
Whatever's going on isn't just here, it's everywhere. She thinks we're gonna be rescued, that her dad's gonna come back from Honduras with the goddamn Green Berets.
She could be right.
Give us a break, Hector.
But I mean, I don't know, I'm of two minds. I think like Night of the Comet, super fun, probably be a great party movie. I also just do think fucking Train to Busan.
I thought so. I thought that this was going, you know, honestly, and I was going to say, if you didn't say it, like, it's also a good party movie because it's so just from the moment it starts to the till the end. And yeah, it's emotional and it's heartbreaking as well, but like the actionness of it is so like on point. And there's been a sequel since and nobody really liked it from what I've heard. But the original Train to Busan is so good. And I mean, honestly, that is also my like, because I picked the original Dawn of the Dead. I think the original Dawn of the Dead holds a really special place. I just think if you're having a party and it's not a party where people are watching, you know, the first hour is kind of slow for that.
Yeah.
So I think Train to Busan is like perfect background fodder, but also like you're going to get people who are stopping and sitting on the couch and watching that shit, especially if you have the subtitles on.
Right. It's a 2016 South Korean movie. It's really action oriented, but it's also very scary. These are, and strangely, even though I prefer slow zombies, the Train to Busan zombies are not slow.
No.
And this is literally just like, what would you do if a horde of you know, a horde of anything, a pandemic of something, of society breaking down? How do we help each other? And how do we, you know, how being selfish is so hurtful and accelerates the decay of society. It's heartbreaking. It's super action. It's the weird thing of like, wow, this is a really good action movie, but also like with a heart. Like I said, 28 Days Later really fucking rips. Also hard to watch, but my God, like it's worth the pain. Also, LOL, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Like silly Billy nonsense. I love zombie movies, and yes, can't go wrong with any of those. But mostly Train to Busan.
So I think we both settled on Train to Busan for our hypothetical mixed reviews Halloween party. So after we left zombies, the very next year we did ghosts on film, which I know you found particularly hard because ghosts kind of run the gamut. I mean, there's every culture has, you know, their own ghosts. Some are fearsome, some are about, you know, your own heritage, some are about just like people that haven't moved on or on things gone undone and whatnot.
The idea of like what haunts us, what possesses us to do things, you know, like literally possession. That was a hard episode for me just because we had a hard time just being like, wait, is this a ghost story? Like, right. I remember like us talking about Monster House. Like, there's no ghosts in it, but it's an actual ghost that's possessing the house.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of like possession films type stuff. Not that it was hard because they were bad movies. It was just like a very wide. I think that might have been our most wide open. A subject for these episodes.
That being said, I picked for my 5-star review The Innocents, which I still stand by. We've since done a Deborah Carr episode. I highly recommend going to listen to that. We had the great Owen Daly on that episode, and so like lots of very good things that come out of her. I think though, if I had to alter that now, and I give a small shout out to it on the episode, I think I would go with Kwaidan. And Kwaidan is a Japanese film. It's from the 60s. It's very long, but it's very stylish. I think having it would be like a feast of the senses on behind you at a Halloween party. It's 4 different stories. It's an anthology film, and it deals with ghosts of the vengeful type. It deals with ghosts of just the otherworldly type. It deals with the ghosts that like don't realize that they're dead, don't understand the difference between dead and alive. And I just think it's like a sumptuous feast for the eyes. And I mean, if you were to stop and pay attention to it, the stories in it are really beautiful, but I think just looking at it would stun, you know, Kwaidan stuns in new photos. So yeah, I think it's absolutely that. So Louis, what other ghost movies did you?
So my 5-star review
Please pick Patrick Swayze's Ghost.
Okay, I was literally thinking Ghost probably would be a good movie pick, just because seeing Whoopi being hilarious and like Patrick Swayze being sexy and Demi. I mean, it's all hot. But I didn't pick Ghost, but Ghost is good. My final review was actually Relic, which was like this small, spooky movie about a mother and a house and the rotting from inside. I do not think it's a good party movie at all.
It is actually the opposite of a party movie.
Yeah. But you should watch it. It's on AMC Plus if that's your thing.
God, what a time for it to come out, 2020, to be about like trapped in a house and rotting and like oof.
It's disconcerting is what I would describe that movie as. I'm gonna pick something that I love. We didn't really talk about it in our Ghosts episode, but this movie hits all the quadrants of all the monsters. I'm picking fucking Paranorman.
Yeah.
If I had to pick like a grand winner, like grand prize winner of like all of these like genres, I would pick Paranorman because has zombies, it has witches, it has ghosts, it has all the things. And Paranorman just, number one, beautiful to look at. It's a Laika Studios film from 2012 about this child who can see ghosts. He is, obviously feels like he's different. This family curse thing that's following him around. And one night, fucking zombies start coming up from the dead, and because they've been cursed by a witch. There's a witch. There's like the town is kind of like known for this spooky tale. The witch is actually this little girl who had horrible things happen to her. The movie is a lot about misunderstandings. I was listening to our episode where we talked about Paranorman, and there's a great scene in the film where he's talking to the people who are also acting like a horde of idiots, making mistakes, being scared of the unknown. And we talk a lot about the reason why we like this movie, the reason why this movie works is because the zombies in this film are they were wrong. They put this little girl to death because they thought she was a witch, or because she was a witch, and they were wrong, and they own that wrongness, and they tell us they were wrong. And so all these like spirits are around. He has his grandmother who's like a ghost who talks to him. It's just such a beautiful, well done movie. I can't believe like the craft that went into making this film, from the music, which is just incredible, to it's very rare to have a movie that is very wrapped up really well, where everything makes sense from a storytelling angle. It's funny. It
is really funny.
It's really funny. There's a lot of good gags in it. I love Paranorman quite a bit. And it's a zombie movie, it's a ghost movie, it's a witch movie.
Yeah, really, 3 quadrants right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I just knew something like this was gonna happen tonight.
You did? Wow. Because that zombie bit really threw me.
Why'd you have to go and get everyone involved in all your weird stuff?
Well, you weren't supposed to follow me, were you? Sorry, my fault. When I'm nervous, I get mouth diarrhea.
Whoa! Diarrhea!
And it looks like Paranorman is currently streaming on Tubi for free. So, hey!
God bless. There you go.
And I do want to say, by the way, if you want to stream Quiden, it's available on Max. So,
perfect.
Yeah, so it's really not hard to find it. But yeah.
After Ghosts, we went into Werewolves. Spooky. Who do we have? We had a guest on that one, right?
Yes, we had very special guest Craig Ian Mann, who wrote Phases of the Moon, which is a literal cultural history book of werewolves on film.
Yes.
Who could not have asked for a better guest. What an amazing guest to have, and loved having on. And those dulcet Scottish tones.
Yeah.
Just
honey, academic tea, okay? He knew his shit. Werewolves was I would say a sillier episode of this, just because I feel like the werewolf, maybe, is it because of Teen Wolf? I don't know. I feel like werewolves on film largely is always like the party animal guy of the Universal monsters.
Well, let's be honest. The reason we're not scared, and I think I bring this up in the episode, the reason we're not scared of werewolves anymore is because we have fences. Like, we just, like literal, the reason people thought werewolves were like a thing was that they couldn't explain why their sheep were all getting eaten at night. And
I thought you were going to say the reason why we're not scared is because we want to fuck them.
No, well, I mean, also that it does. I mean, there's a portion of our audience who certainly does. But
Honey.
get on those pup hoods, everybody. But like the, you know, so it's one of those things where I just think it's really funny where it's like, I think it's harder to, you know, to make a convincing werewolf movie because we're like, as humans, we're just not scared of that beast anymore. I think, you know, the best werewolf movies nowadays are about the like, what is this thing inside me? This scary thing that, you know, like could hurt people. You know, it's more the mental illness factor that we are afraid of. But like the actual beast, we're, you know, it's not like a thing that we are afraid of anymore.
What I'm shocked and thinking of right now is like, have there been any queer coded werewolf movies?
Well, I mean, Ginger Snaps, and except that it
Yes.
even though it ends up not being queer at all, but like, yeah, there's
I mean, literally, I was gonna pick Ginger Snaps, but I was like, you're right. Maybe that's the reason why we love Ginger Snaps so much is because it's this feeling of like, I'm coming out of my shell, I'm being extroverted, I am strong, I am powerful. People like love me. Look at my beautiful long hair, like all this stuff. I just like it'd be so easy for like I'm going back to thinking about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It's like this idea of like there's something inside me, you know, coming out, and like movie people out there, hello, like we need a gay werewolf film yesterday. Okay, get on that.
Absolutely. Have there been any like big werewolf movies that have come out since we did that episode? I think the like newest one at the time was Werewolves Within. There was the Werewolf by Night Marvel movie, which our TV special, which I've still yet to watch. I'm sure it's fine. I just can't. My brain at one point was like, no new Marvel content.
Yeah, same.
But
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And I think because it is, you know, we talked in our zombie episodes. I think for up and coming filmmakers, you know, it's easy to make a zombie movie. It's easy to make a vampire movie. It's easy to make a witch movie because these are things that don't. But like when it comes to werewolves, it's about the transformation. It's about the beast itself. And if there's any fault in that, you instantly kind of lose a portion of your audience. And so I think, it becomes much harder to make a werewolf movie.
I think
apparently there is a upcoming 2024 movie called Werewolves starring Frank Grillo coming out. There's also the remake of The Wolfman coming out. So like we do have stuff, but
there was a Teen Wolf movie.
Yeah.
God. Of the show.
It was so bad, Louis. I watched it. It was bad. Okay. Oh no.
And then she drowned. Yeah, I mean, so my 5-star review back when we did this episode was The Company of Wolves, which was kind of a throwback to like more of the fairy tale kind of aspect of wolves. I remember that film. I still like it. I like how dreamy it is.
Yeah.
I remember thinking it's very clever spin on the fairy tale aspect. And I guess it would be cool to have in the background, but I just think similarly to The Crafts, like he doesn't get better than Ginger Snaps. Like, it's on Peacock. It's just, you know, Ginger Snaps, like we mentioned already, is like this very queer coded, even though in the end it's not, but like the rare movie about female werewolves and coming into this power, you know, you don't get that a lot in werewolf movies.
And once again, I re-listened to our episode. I know, I won't name names, but a fellow Glitterjaw podcast
there are some girlies who don't like it.
Yeah, recently did an episode and I was like, oh no. But I will say I really like this like really toxic codependent sibling relationship that's in this movie. And I don't think it's like an example of a good, healthy sibling relationship. I think you experience that as a kid, that sometimes you do grow apart from your siblings. Luckily, like I have a sibling that I've grown apart from, but I have another sibling who I love so dearly and would like literally lay down in front of a train for. So like, I get it. Like I, this happens. And especially I think if you're as close as these two characters are supposed to be in this movie, like when something like this happens to one of them, when one of them literally becomes a werewolf and changes her whole steez, like it's
this idea of like how I'm seeing someone else change, become more confident, become more sexual, become more daring, adventurous, perhaps leaving you behind. And also like, what are the dangers of that? What are there's advantages, disadvantages. It's also just fucking fun. It's a fun movie. It kind of like is in the Jennifer's Body universe.
Yes.
I'm killing boys.
And that's, I mean, it does feel sort of like the template of that, of the like.
Whoa. Whoa. That's it? Whoa. I can't have a hairy chest, B. That's fucked. No way. No. What the fuck? What the fuck? This isn't... What? No way, like... What? No. Bitten on a full moon. Now you're hairy. I know, but think about it. Well, thank you for taking my total fucking nightmare so seriously. Huh?
I also do just want to give a shout out. I think both main actresses, Emily Perkins and Catherine Isabelle, are amazing. But specifically Catherine Isabelle, who plays Ginger Fitzgerald, I love her to death. I want nothing but good things from her. She was on Hannibal as well, too. Like, oh my God, give me more Catherine Isabelle vehicles. I love when she shows up in things.
Yeah.
What did she recently show up? She showed up in It's a Wonderful Knife, which is a slasher from a couple years ago, or literally from last year, and playing a character named Gail Prescott, which, by the way, we see you because that's a combination of Sidney Prescott and Gail Weathers from Scream. We see you. We hold space for you. But yeah, give me more Catherine Isabelle vehicles.
What are you recommending for werewolves?
I love that you chose Ginger Snaps, especially because it was indeed my pick. So yay, good.
Yay.
But I think that would be an amazing background movie. So far we've planned a perfect party, by the way. But I think another amazing werewolf movie, just for the sheer like grossness, just like constant changing and whatnot, is 1981's The Howling. And I mentioned it in the episode before. I think Joe Dante is sort of the master of being able to like take the serious and kind of be like, but isn't it all silly? And then also take the silly and be like, but isn't it just a little serious? And I think The Howling is the perfect mashup of that.
A great werewolf costume.
Oh my God.
That's
so good.
One of the best. One of the most, the creepiest, freakiest, like gnarliest.
And the transformation scene, like literally the transformation scene has to be seen to believe. And I love that they went in a totally different direction of, because like at that point the pinnacle had been American Werewolf in London, and that scene is really graphic and really great. And I love that they were just like, yeah, but what if it was like slightly cartoonish as well?
Yeah.
What if it was like bladders under the skin and pulsating? And so I just think like as a background movie, The Howling is great. However, it really seems like it's maybe not streaming anywhere except for Apple TV Plus. So like 1/5 of the population is going to be able to stream it for their Halloween party, if that. So,
but
all the people who bought it for Masters of Air,
yeah,
they're going to be able to stream
the lucky few.
I have silver bullets in here.
Silver bullets, my ass. Get up, Casey.
Okay, well, that's werewolves. Next up is maybe my second favorite episode we've ever done. And who would have guessed? It's Frankenstein.
Yeah, I'm Frankenstein. I have said this before on our show. Frankenstein is one of my absolute passions in life. Once again, I have the poster behind me. I love all versions of it, even the really horrible ones. Well, maybe not I, Frankenstein, which we did both trash.
Yeah, we both, yeah.
But I have, I think, 5 different copies on the shelf behind me of books. I love. I maybe identify too much with said monster. It's just because I'm like really smart and cool and, you know, didn't ask to be born.
Yeah.
But
what do you want? Frankenstein, again, asking the questions of like, what if man could create life? What is the responsibility like for creating life? This is like, you know, Adam and the creation story. It's a creation story.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's also like about, again, a lot of these movies are about, you know, the unknown. How do we treat people? A lot of obviously religious things. If you're playing God, and also just like, what is the human body? What does it take to be a man? Like, are we just a bag of bones and flesh and meat? Where does a soul come from? All these things. It's just a very, again, rich tapestry. And there are a lot of bad movies, but I do think there are, even the bad ones, I think, ask some really good questions. And like, what's the one with Daniel Radcliffe?
Is that
Victor
Igor?
Frankenstein?
Victor Frankenstein. Yes, thank you. Yes, yeah.
Victor Frankenstein and Frankenweenie, like, they're not similar at all. But this idea of like the things that we do when someone dies and we do not accept it.
Yes.
We do not accept death, and I can beat death. And how am I going to do that? By fucking putting them to a chair and electrocuting the shit out of them and bringing them back.
And what if I could be God? What if I, you know, like, what if like, the ultimate in, you know, like, humans can create life, but like, what if I want to beat that system? What if I want to do it in a different way?
And it's and for those two movies specifically, I bring them up just because it's about, you know, Victor Frankenstein having to grieve and come to accept of letting go, that our natural lives do come to an end, and there is no, you know, going beyond that, because whoever you brought back is not them, because we actually are more than a bag of bones.
And then also, like, when you do bring something back, like, what is your responsibility to that? If it's not the thing that you wanted, like, you still brought a life into this world, like, do you take care of it? Do you nurture it? Do you, as in the original story, toss it into the forest and let it fend for itself? Like, that's, you know, it's all of these, like, really deep, dark questions, but also, like, one of those things, it's so funny that it became associated with this holiday that, like, people dress up and ask for candy, which I know is not the original intent of Halloween, but, like, it's just, it's all these, like, really heavy philosophical ideas that have just become distilled down to a man with a flat head who wanders around with his arms out, which, by the way, doesn't even come from the original Universal Frankenstein. It literally comes into Ghost of Frankenstein because he's been blinded. Like, that's it. That's the only reason why he's doing the arm stretched out thing, because he can't see. Yeah, like, come on.
I like the Frankenstein episode just because it's kind of like zombies, and I guess to an extent, well, all of these, but like, the remixes of Frankenstein are very, very good. I am going to suggest two things. Number one, Frankenhooker. If you want a camp old time, a funny visual feast for the senses, on Peacock, you can stream Frankenhooker. It is smarter than it sounds.
Yes.
The writing is whip smart. The if you want exploding, you know,
exploding sex workers,
and
it's just like, what is it? It's like bad cocaine or something. Like, it just literally causes them to explode.
It really doesn't matter, honestly.
You're like, please,
it really doesn't. It's just so funny. So that's number one. Number two, I'm just going to stick with my 5-star review, Flesh for Frankenstein, presented by Andy Warhol. It's on Pluto TV for free. Just like an entire examination, dissection, subversion of the sacred, about a brother and sister who are married and are just like defiling the body in every way possible. I think, again, like, this idea of Frankenstein, the most unholy thing that you could do as a person is defiling a body, right? They are penetrating the body. They are corpses. And it is just for their wicked pleasures. It is a candy-colored nightmare of just debauchery and carnage. But it is so extreme and so it's John Watersian.
Yes,
in that sense. I don't think you need to pay attention to it, but it is just, this I don't know, extremo bizarro world nightmare, again, of like the atrocities that humans are capable of, and how it because it's so grotesque, it reminds you of like how sacred your body is.
Yes,
and the beauty actually of the magic of literally the thing that we call our body, how it works with no thought. My body knows how to pump blood and breathe and do all these things. And I was just really taken by this movie in its extremes, and think it is both a grotesque and fun watch. Don't take it seriously because it is crazy, but yeah.
I do want to put in just in case I missed you saying it. Directed by Paul Morrissey, and I only just want to say that because he hated that for years. The name that's been attached to it is Andy Warhol, and so everybody thinks Andy Warhol directed it, but Paul Morrissey did direct it, and he deserves his flowers as well.
Has to be of a man who strongly craves women, whose overriding urges are sensual. If he succeeds in finding such a single-minded man, our chances are very good that the male we create will fall in love with my female zombie. They will mate, and she will bear me the children I want.
My 5-star review from that episode was 1967's Frankenstein Created Woman. I still stand by that. I think it's really great. And obviously, because I had talked about Bride of Frankenstein ad nauseum, and I think would be great background for a party movie, I just didn't think that I should talk about it again and give you guys more options. However, I do not think Frankenstein Created Woman is a party movie, because it is a movie you actually have to watch, because Peter Cushing is so just like all these scenes, just gonna chew and eat them up. So my party suggestion is also Frankenhooker, because literally just like candy colored, exactly like you were saying, and it's not serious at all, and it's so much fun just watching the lead actress just wander around and and she has like an electric kiss and whatnot, and it's just fun and stupid and silly. Some of the acting is like real flat, but it seems very purposeful, like almost like they're they're very clearly in on the joke. The name of the movie is Frankenhooker. Right. I truly cannot sing that was such a surprise to me, because I thought it was just going to be trash for trash's sake, and it had so much like cheekiness to it that I was just like, oh my god, I love this.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, Dollface. How about those Mets? Well, actually, I'm not too fond of organized sports. More of a one-on-one type guy. I kind of prefer a certain indoor sport, you know what I mean? How about if I stick my tongue down your throat?
Loved our Frankenstein episode. Our final episode of this little menage a horror was our slashers on film. And we had another guest on this. It's Maria, right?
Maria Lewis, prolific author, screenwriter, podcaster. I was just looking at her website, and I feel like she's written like 70 books since that episode, and that was literally last year. So, but at the time, she just released a book called The Graveyard Shift, which was a slasher film novel. As a book itself. Yeah. And so, what a great guest! So smart, brought so much to the table. I loved having Maria on.
An Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oh God, they're gonna anyone who in Australia is gonna be like, these fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And you're not wrong. First of all, you're not wrong. Slashers was maybe like the hardest one for me to watch. Because this is exactly the type of...
Yeah, this is what you don't like.
Yeah, this is like the other movies, like there's some gore, but like it's a fucking zombie, tearing someone's head off. It's not like literally someone being stabbed 10,000 times by an angry man. So a hard episode for me to do. But what I remember is finding a lot of pleasure and joy in especially like the movies from the 80s. The 80s movies were very silly is the wrong thing to say here, but like style. They were not going for actually like the horrors of like the 90s and the thousands where it's like your neighbor's gonna kill you and like what are you gonna do about it. Those movies were literally about like, what are the things in society that scare us? What are the things that are making us anxious? Oh God, I didn't write it down, but I just had the thought of like, what was the movie about like the calls are coming from was inside the house?
Oh, When a Stranger Calls.
When a Stranger Calls. That movie fucking rips.
Yeah, it's so good.
Not a good party movie because like it's so quiet and you need to like, be in it. And I think that's maybe not a problem. A challenge for a party movie of a slasher because a lot of them are very slow.
Yeah.
Very like,
and plotty.
And plotty because the whole idea is like it's a mystery. Like a lot of them are like, who is the killer? That's the thing, right? And you got to like figure out like the thing. So my 5-star review was Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the gay one.
That is the official subtitle.
Freddy's Revenge is, but even though.
Which, by the way, just want to put in a very nice plug for Almost Major, which is a podcast. They're very good friends of ours. Two of them have been on our episodes before. Kevin and Charlie have both done episodes with us before. We've been on their show multiple times, and they're very kind enough to ask us on to do Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And like we went deep. A friend of mine, my friend Tim, said he had to shout at his whatever device he was listening to the podcast on, like Rhonda Shear, because she's the USA Up All Night girl that I couldn't remember the name of.
Yeah.
So yes, please go listen to that if you want to hear us expound upon Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
I think that would be a good party movie.
I think so too.
It's gory, it's silly, it's fun, it's gay.
It's gay.
It's very.
You would have
gay.
People stopping and being like, "What's going on? Like what? Oh yeah, like
that man is scratching his butt. Like there, what is going on?
What's happening?
A dream sequence. I do recommend that.
I killed Grady. I killed Grady. Lisa, I killed Snyder. Oh my God. I'm so scared.
Jesse, what are you talking about?
He's inside me. I'm scared.
Jesse, who is doing this to you?
Fred Krueger. He's inside me, and he wants to take me again.
But I'm going to go for actually another film that I thought was honestly kind of... I'm just going to say it. I'm going to go with Sleepaway Camp.
Wow, controversial choice.
A controversial pick, but I just think like a fascinating, like engrossing film that has all the pieces of like an 80s kind of campy slasher teen flick, but also just like the true shocking kind of horror of like, I mean, the ending is just like truly like so shocking. And also like has depth, like a rare one of these movies where it's like, I mean, not rare, I guess, but like Nightmare.
No, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Like it's got the schlockiness of the 80s. And I think a lot of this stuff was like, oh, the 80s slashers are very schlocky, but like they do have these things like talking about like in Nightmare 2, like AIDS, being like, and the AIDS epidemic and being gay. I think in this movie, this like trans identity, like, and this, the feeling of about the body and like, I think Sleepaway Camp is just the perfect mix of all the things. It's fun. They're at this like camp. It really is like a whodunit that is shocking, and there's like this dream sequences and but also like high camp. Like not there's the acting is very over the top. The fashions, oh my god, the fashions. The shorts don't get any shorter than they do here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Angela. How come you never take showers when the rest of us do? Huh? You queer or something? Oh, I know what it is. You haven't reached puberty yet. Is that it? I bet you don't even have your period. That's enough, Judy. Angela's allowed to shower in the morning or any other time she wants to. Yeah. She takes showers when no one can see. She has no hair down below. Judy! She's a real carpenter's dream. The light is a board and needs a screw. That's enough! Fuck off!
Yeah, between this and Nightmare on Elm Street 2, you want short shorts, baby. You got them. I think if I'm going to pick one just for the visual quality itself, is Sleepaway Camp streaming on anything, by the way?
Oh, it's on Tubi.
Oh, very good. Very nice. I think if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to stick with my choice of Halloween 1978. Call me basic, whatever. I don't care. It's just, it is the classic. It is the template for why we have slasher movies. And I know that there was like stuff beforehand. We talk about that all in the episode. Please go listen to it. We do an entire history of the slasher genre. But I think there's just something about watching the way Halloween unfolds, the way the film uses darkness, the scare, and like, I don't think you have to have the sound on. I think you can just kind of feel the dread oozing from it, and the idea that you're perhaps not safe. And I think that, you know, it's absolutely worth watching, and it's literally available on, you know, it's like on Amazon Prime, it's on AMC Plus, it's on Plex for free, it's on Crackle for free. So, you know, you can see it. Jamie Lee Curtis, her face is so expressive in it too. And yeah, just, I mean, can't go wrong with 1978's Halloween.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
You can also watch it with the sound on, because that music also fucking bangs.
Oh yeah, slaps. It's so funny because there's been a slate of slasher movies, because much like I was talking about earlier about like it's easy to make a slasher movie, you know, like a vampire movie, like which like they don't have to be special effects heavy, and some have been like really, like I enjoyed Cuckoo a lot. I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I thought it was great. On the other end, The Strangers Chapter 1 came out and everybody was like, fuck this. I just watched In a Violent Nature today, and I think if you're like on its level, it's fun. It's like an ambient slasher movie where you essentially just follow the Jason Voorhees like killer around.
Oh, right. This is like from the perspective of the killer, right?
Yes, and like you're getting to hear like snippets of conversations. I will say my problem with it is I couldn't tell if it was deciding if it was like trying to be comedy, because there was like the dialogue was so like bad 80s movie that I was like, are we like making commentary? Like what is, and I think that's maybe the flaw of the movie. And also because it's like long stretches of him just walking through the forest, you might not be into it. But that could be a fun thing to put on at a party, because once again, you don't have to have the sound when he's just traipsing through the daisies.
As they are wont to do.
Also, Maxine came out this year to cap off Ty West's
that's right.
like horror trilogy that he created with X and Pearl. I will say Pearl is the highlight of those movies. Maxine was kind of wah for me, but
I blame Halsey.
It's truly Halsey's fault.
I blame her for everything, honestly, wrong in this world. So there's that.
Yeah, I was gonna. She's a bad seed on this earth. Mm-hmm. Wait, don't post that. Don't love Halsey. Love Halsey.
Let's do it again. I think that's a great. I mean, I think this is a very good slate for a Halloween party.
Oh, absolutely. Let us plan your events. The Mixed Reviews Party Planning Agency.
I literally now want to do a double feature of Frankenhooker and Paranorman. I think that would be a slapping good time.
I agree.
An evening.
Oh my God. Can you imagine going the like visual whiplash of doing Bram Stoker's Dracula into The Howling.
Just a lot of makeup, big makeup happening. The chaos of like the Night of the Comet to like Flesh for Frankenstein. Remember, I went to a Halloween party that year. We did zombies, and who did I see? Girlies dressed up as Reggie and her sister from Night of the Comet.
Yes, which you never would have known.
I never would have known. We're educating people here on the Mixed Reviews. But I think it's a good place for us to bring this to an end. I hope our listeners, you guys out there, have a really wonderful spooky season. Watch some of these movies, come away with a greater appreciation. Think about these like kind of heavy questions, but also have a great time while you're doing it.
And obviously, if you want a deeper analysis of any of these movies and any of these mini genres we've talked about, please go back and listen to our back catalog. We love those episodes. They're easy breezy CoverGirl episodes to listen to. They're so much fun, and there's so much ground to be covered that we couldn't even get to in this episode. And I'm not saying this episode is an advertisement for them, but like they're a great supplemental feature to this episode. So yes. I don't know. I think they're fun. They're some of my favorite episodes of everything we've done.
And they're torture for me, but no, I'm
not
kidding.
Always.
No, I'm kidding. Truly, like you dragged me for this, but like zombies really got my ass.
And I'm not really dragging. I love that you like the zombie episodes so much. It makes me so happy.
Well, I mean, like we watch a lot of movies for this project, and like sometimes it is a slog, but then sometimes we're just surprised and like find out, oh, I actually really connect with this actor, with this director, this genre of movies, things that I never like. I think about like, similarly, Angela Bassett. I didn't know a lot about her career. I knew about like a couple things, but then I got to watch all her movies and I was like, oh my fucking God, like this woman is incredible in all the things that she's done. Same thing with zombies. I was like, I never would have like, I saw Shaun of the Dead, but like I wasn't watching fucking 28 Days Later for fun.
Right.
But like it's sometimes different art that we would not think connects with you. It just really fucking does. And like this is what this project does. It pushes us out into those, zones that we wouldn't normally be in.
And I know it's on the tip of your tongue. I know you're about to say the Vincent Price episode. And yeah, I understand. I feel the same way about it. I get it.
You love that episode.
I love that episode.
But also you love Vincent Price.
Oh my God, yeah. Dad.
Yeah, that's Dad.
But anyways, the candles behind me are burning down.
Oh my God.
Ever so close.
Wow.
And that means we must wrap this up. So if you want to come to the Mixed Reviews Halloween party, you can always contact us on Twitter at the Mixed Reviews.
We're on Facebook, just type in the Mixed Reviews.
If you want to email us, if you think your invitation got lost in the mail, you can always find us at reviewsmixed@gmail.com.
You can slide into our spooky DMs on Instagram at _mixed_reviews.
Or if you want to listen to all of our past Halloween episodes and the rest of our episodes besides that, you can find us on any podcast app or on Apple, Spotify, Audible. If you do listen to us on Apple, stop by. Leave us a 5-star rating. Write us a little review. We did finally get our 100th review. Yay! I'll be reading it next episode because I wanted to reserve this just for our Halloween-y and New York Film Festival chat. But don't worry, you will get a shout out. And thank you so much for doing that. Only 2 years after I asked. So
it happened.
It happened. Yes. But yes, and also the Mixed Reviews is a proud part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. We couldn't do without you, babes. Thank you so much for having us.
Have a wonderful spooky season. Gavin, enjoy your little vacation.
I will be sunning abroad in beautiful tropical Ireland.
Incredible. Say hi to all the girlies I met earlier this year. Go say hi to Owen.
I was going to say, I'm sure you kissed them all.
Oh, I sure did. I really did. But we will be back with a regular programming scheduled episode in November. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. The holidays, honeys, they're here. They're coming
up. They're sneaking up. But until then.
No, I'll say it. We're going to be recording with like scarves and hot cocoa in hand.
Oh my God. Like we aren't always.
Yeah. But thank you guys for listening. We'll see you then. Bye.
Until then, have a happy Halloween. And if you don't celebrate Halloween, a very spooky Thursday. Ooh.
That was stupid. I loved it. A very spooky Thursday. God, that's every day of my life.